Hey, it's B-Rad Celebrity Hairstylist here, your host of the Hairstylist Empowerment Podcast. Today, we have a special episode for SalonTraining.com Trainer Spotlight featuring today's guests, Heidi Maxwell and Jessica Lewan. Is it Lewan?
It
Okay,
is.
awesome. I got it perfect.
Awesome.
So they're the BetterBeautyBusiness.com with 30 years of combined experience running a successful beauty business. They can help you grow your salon with courses, podcasts, and even an awesome Facebook group. Well, welcome, guys. So please introduce yourselves and give me a little bit about your background.
So I'm Heidi Maxwell, and I decided to get into the industry. I was about 28, so it's about 16 years ago. Went to school. I've always loved like the nail game, so I decided that's what I was going to just specialize in. So I did nails, and I met Jessica when we were in school, and we kind of graduated together-ish.
Yeah.
But she was an esthetician, I was a nail tech, so you graduate at different times. But then I worked on my own for several years, and then about 9 years ago, somewhere in there, her and I decided to open a place.
She doesn't want to say it's getting close to a decade.
No.
Yeah, that dates me. So, I don't want to date myself. So yeah, so we decided to I opened a salon and asked her if she wanted to come in. And so now what we do is we each run our separate businesses, but we use one salon. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. It's amazing to do. And I think nowadays it makes more sense to kind of partner with someone. And then you can also cross promote each other's services because you're not competing with each other. Exactly. Because somebody might get their nails done. They're going out and say, hey, I have someone here. They can do a brow wax. Or if you're going out for the evening, I'll do your nails. She can do a makeup touch up or that sort of thing, where it's much better to build. And then you have each other's clientele that you're not competing for. You're not going to take hers and vice versa. You can just kind of, make it a unity. So Jessica, what's kind of your story?
So I'm Jessica Lewan, and I actually started in the makeup industry. I moved out to LA when I was like 25, and I was going to do makeup. I went to a great makeup school out there, stayed for a couple years, and realized I really hated traffic. And so I moved back to Wyoming. My parents had moved to Casper. So I moved back here and signed up for cosmetology school as an esthetician, just because you couldn't even do makeup in a salon here without being licensed. Oh, wow. So I went ahead and got licensed and realized I went and worked at a salon right away for a year for a girl I knew, that I actually loved waxing. Like I didn't love the facial part. I love skin. I just didn't love the facial part. I loved waxing. So I stayed with her for about a year, and then I went out on my own. And then, like Heidi said, about 10 years ago, we decided to start sharing a space, which I know we've seen a lot of questions on this where people are like, can you share a space, but not a business? It works beautifully for us. We have a great retail space, but like you said, we share ideas. We bounce ideas off each other. I can say, I'm trying to do this, and
we split
split a lot of expenses, everything. So, so now I actually started, and I only do waxing now. I used to do lashes and makeup, but my waxing studio has really exploded over the last decade, and I barely have time for anything else. So I do all primarily waxing, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I think what a lot of people in this field do in the beauty industry, they think they have to be able to do everything. But I think sometimes you're better when you specialize. And if waxing is your thing, be the best professional you can be in that, and then be the expert. Because I know there's a male esthetician, and he makes, I don't know, $1 million a year just doing brows. Yeah. So he's a celebrity brow guy. That's all he does. Like for me, I'm licensed in hair aesthetics and massage. So I have the same background, but like you, there's different things that you love. See, where for me, waxing I can do, and I can do full body, but I prefer more the facial stuff and the body treatment. So that's more what I like. But then now I stick more to the hair side, but it's kind of nice to be able to do everything, but have a specialty where you're the expert in your area, in your niche, and you can also charge accordingly as well. Because if you're, and two, the big thing too is probably retail of aftercare, you know, the pre stuff that a lot of people don't know, you know, what they should do before waxing, after waxing, how often they should come in, you know, and educating people, educating your clients on it, where a lot of people, you come in, you know, as I say, like, I don't want to say salons do this, but double dipping, there's things like that. So that's the whole thing with, you want to make sure your practices are, you know, using clean every single time, whether you do roll on, whether you do a hard wax, whether you do a whatever type of wax you use, you know what I mean? You're the best at it. And because word gets around fast, good words get around fast, but bad words get around faster.
Yes, they do.
But you guys met in cosmetology school. So then did you envision yourselves where you are now?
No, actually, you know, a few years ago, we started kind of talking and thinking, you know, we've had a lot of people come to us and say, I'm starting my business. I don't even know where to start. And so it kind of has been, you know, this little seed that was planted. And then it was like, well, do we write a book? What do we do? And luckily for us, when shutdown happened, it was this amazing opportunity, because I would have never taken 6 weeks off ever. But we only had 2 weeks initially. You know, they shut us down for 2 weeks and we're like, okay, this is our opportunity. Let's start the podcast. Let's start working on this. So we did a ton in 2 weeks, and then they gave us 2 more weeks. We were only shut down for 6, but we were able to really develop this idea because we had a very short amount of time to finally just let it all out. We were doing 2 podcasts a week during the shutdown. We really decided we wanted to build a course instead of a book. We thought more of a one-on-one coaching that could go with the course. So all these ideas came out of it. And we also then created a partnership, which has been an interesting experience because we're working for ourselves and having someone to back up ideas is very different than actually having someone you're totally committed in a relationship with.
Exactly.
That, and like every relationship, they, you know, it has its ups and downs, but learning how to be in this kind of relationship that really revolves around money is very interesting.
Yeah, it's the thing where you do the like before you own your own business, so you don't have to ask anyone's permission. But when you have a partner, you kind of have to run things by each other.
Exactly.
You can't just like go buy crazy stuff or do whatever you want.
Exactly. But I think it's also nice having a sounding board, because working alone and only having your own ideas, you know, at least you have somebody that can kind of stop you before you say, no, that doesn't look quite right, or here, let's tweak this better. But the thing is, you did the proactive thing with shutdown, where a lot of people did absolutely nothing except complain and say, I'm shut down, I can't do anything. Because I'm here in Canada, so out of the last 12 months, our salons have been maybe open 4 months of that. So a lot of salons in Toronto here, they've been closed since November of last year.
Wow.
And we're not expected open till like the end of May, but that's not even definite yet. So there's something that you have to do or have to create in order to kind of make some kind of monetary income. There was curbside pickup, and that's great. You can make some, but we don't even have that now either, that you could sell some products, but at least online, where's your captive audience now at home? So people want to learn what's the best time to, and as I say, like people say, oh, no money's coming in, but I don't think any investment on yourself is ever wasted. So even if it's put on a card, you'll get that money fold back as long as you apply the principles learned. But for people sort of opening, what's the biggest challenge you would say for cosmetologists, estheticians, nail techs? What is their biggest challenge in starting a business?
Well, I think their absolute biggest challenge is you get out of a year of school if you're doing full cosmetology, and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to go make money. So they're like, I'm going to booth rent, or I'm going to go work at this place. I'm going to open a business. But they've missed this step of learning how to open a business. Most cosmetology schools will go over it, a tiny bit, but money is so emotional that people have a very hard time sitting down and looking at their money. They just look at the big picture, which is great. I'm going to be, a celebrity hairstylist. It's going to be amazing. Well, you're 19 living in your mom's basement and people are not going to pay you $5,000 to cut their hair. So they see this big picture, but they don't know how to get to even $1, let alone $5 million. So I think that's the biggest thing missing.
Exactly. And that's it, because a lot of these people sort of have dreams of grandeur, but I find so also in the schools, a lot of the schools, especially hairstyling, they pump the student up because they're like the best student in their class. They're doing all the clients at the school. They think they're amazing, but they're only learning the basics, right?
Yeah.
They're not that star yet. And it takes at least 3 to 5 years once you get out of school to start to get good, until you've encountered every type of client, until you've, I say for me, I've done the whole thing. I opened salons in, like I say, I had my first salon in my 20s, my second one 2 years later. I've had staff. I competed for 8 years. I've been a platform artist, celebrity stylist, television. I had my own television show for 3 years. I do the podcast now. But so my list is like this, but it takes a lot of hard work. And that's what people don't understand. And you can't just, exactly, because people just think, I want to be on stage. You're just going to be on stage. It doesn't happen like that. And if they're paying you the big bucks, which, you know what I mean? It's because, as I say, one guy I worked for, he was on stage. He made 10 grand an hour. That was his rate years ago. So you can make the money, but much more is expected of you. So you can't just be like, yes, you're the best in school, but once you get out, it's not going to be the same. And you probably know as well, with aesthetics, with nails, not everybody's friendly. Not everybody's, love what you do, even though it may be perfect and exactly like the picture, or you've like, I did the best waxing ever. And somebody's like, oh, you missed one.
Exactly.
You got 99.9% of all the other ones, but the one hidden that you couldn't find, it's there.
Right.
And it's somewhere that you didn't even wax. No,
Right. Exactly.
But that's the main thing, and that's the challenge, is getting the foundation, getting the training, which brings us to salontraining.com. You guys are trainers on salontraining.com. What will you be teaching on there?
So I'll specifically teach nail classes, and that will just be me. Right now, like my first nail class that I want to do is like the nail prep stuff. So it's like really starting at the beginning. I kind of like to do a little bit of a progression where we start at the very beginning and teach the super basics of prepping the nail, because it's the most important part, and then moving to more difficult things as we go on. I think that actually will help just grow. Like people will continue to take my courses because they're learning something different the whole time.
So with this course, would this be a prerequisite then to your other courses? So
No,
would they
not
have
necessarily.
not necessarily, so they don't need it as a foundation to go on to the
If
next.
they're a nail tech, they should know. But I do.
No, but it never hurts to me.
Right.
It never hurts to go back to the basics and relearn, because maybe there's a way that you do nails that I do nails differently, right? Or do acrylics differently, or do overlays differently, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, the techniques change over the years.
Right.
So this way, like how I did nail prep when I first started is nothing like how I do nail prep now. So a lot of it is just, being able to tell them like, this is where it works best for me. I don't have a lot of lifting on my clients. I don't have a lot of clients coming in with nails popping off or breaking. So that says I'm doing my job the way I'm supposed to be doing it. And if I can teach that to someone else, then they can start getting client retention, which is amazing.
Yeah, because I think that's what it is with a lot of people. They have it. It's tough for them, especially if they have a client who's active. That it's very difficult because they just get their nails done and either the polish is chipping, the nail is lifting, the nails and I think this is another issue too, that a lot of people get artificial nails to grow their own nail underneath, but once they take it off, their own nail is so weak underneath, it just kind of rips right off. And as I say, but if you can teach a system where people kind of know these things, and I guess these are things that nail techs come up with, but they don't really know, how can I get that nail to stay? How can I get, a longer lasting polish? How can I, or as I say, should I stick with this polish, or should I go with a gel polish, or should I go with, all that, and there's powders and there's everything. There's a whole world of nails,
Very much so.
which I know about. I don't do anymore, but I know about them, right? I did them for a while just because I'm trained in it. So of course I used to do the manicures, pedicures, artificials, seaweed gel nails, all that kind of stuff. So there's so much in it. But Jessica, how about you? What would you say?
So we are actually going to teach a course together.
Mhm.
So we are both listed individually. We're also listed together. And we are going to, teaching our
The Better Beauty Business course.
Yes, that course. And it will cover like budgeting and planning, a little bit of insurance and taxes, really those real basic. It's going to be a 6-week course. We'll do an hour a week where they'll have to go through and figure out where they're spending all their money, how to budget it, all of that. So that is the course we'll teach together. And then as of right now, I'm actually starting very foundationally also. I'm not going to teach waxing right away. I'm actually going to teach how to make your client feel comfortable before they take their pants off for you. Because I think if they're not going to feel comfortable, they're not walking in your door, no matter how amazing you are at waxing.
And that's exactly it. And that's one thing I think we lose, are all the soft skills. Like people are about the service, but they forget the pre-stuff, how to communicate, to make sure that you're actually delivering the services that their expectation, so you're meeting what they kind of want. Or if it's unrealistic, then say, be okay to say, no, you should wait a week, or let's kind of prep your skin first, or, this is what you need. And this is how long this system, if I'm going to bring your skin back, your brows back, because obviously too, with waxing, I imagine there's some people that have done their own at home. They've over tweezed, they've done all that kind of stuff, or they got a home kit, they did it themselves, and they think one waxing session gonna fix it and it's all gonna just come back. It takes time to grow in, to fix that shape. Or if they want an arch and they have no, you know what I mean? Or they put an arch like way up here and now they look like they're from Star Trek, but.
Right. Well, and I do think we lose a lot of those, like with Heidi starting her with the very basics, and with me starting with, you walk in the door and I want you to feel like we've known each other forever. So that, when they do come in, we've taken away some of that nervousness. And I think the foundational items people do forget. We do have to remember how to be human and how to connect with people, because that's what our industry is about. We're connecting with people. You don't go to a salon to get your hair done and have robots do it. No. We want real people who really understand, and we feel seen and heard in what we want, because when we leave, that's what defines how good we feel.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And people are coming for the experience. They're coming for not necessarily the service, but they really want that connection. Because with Heidi, you're touching one of the most sensitive parts, is their hands. And when you're holding somebody's hand, for most people, this is the part that's exposed, right? Same with Jessica, their face or their body. Same with me. I touch their hair. We give scalp massage. So we're connected on a more intimate level with these people, as opposed to you coming in, buying an item. I say, here's your item, here's your change, tap the card, that's it. and away they go. But it's really, really important. I think with your course, are you going to gear it more towards new people in business, or people that are just kind of been doing business a while, but are just kind of lost? They don't know how to budget. They don't know, they like, I opened this business a couple of years ago, but I really don't know what I'm doing.
Well, we're really open to everybody. We've really geared it towards brand new professionals generally, because those are the ones who we want to set them up initially. But we are very open to people coming back and going, you know what, I never knew what I was doing. I'm 5 years in. I'm still not making any money because I'm off buying 46 coffees a month and, doing all those stereotypical salon things. And we're going, yeah, they're stereotypes, but you don't have to do those. You can make money.
You can be a different kind of stereotype.
Right. And reevaluating where they're at. So we're actually, we're willing to grow with these people and really look at that financial part and that emotional part that goes with all of that. So yeah, we're open to everybody who needs this class
Mhm.
taking it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It's that emotional component that a lot of people kind of miss.
Right.
Even in school, because school, they want to get you trained so you can get your certification depending on where you live. Because say not everywhere requires for aesthetics to have a license.
Right.
I believe if you do medical aesthetics, it's a little bit different because you're dealing with acid peels, you're dealing with more advanced type of things. And obviously too, I would want somebody certified if they're going to put acid on my skin
Correct.
and take off a couple layers. Same with hair. I don't want somebody who saw a YouTube video on how to bleach hair, went into one that sells the public or a drugstore and said, here, I'm going to stick some bleach on you. And they just leave you. And then, your scalp is all burnt and it's just being aware. But I think too, step by step, we have to be with the clients. And I think for some people, they want to make the maximum amount of money. So they think the only way to do that is to do more clients.
Right.
So they think if I do one, I'll make good money. If I do 2 or 3 at the same time, even better, and have an assistant. But I think in some ways you kind of lose that, because I'm sure that if I went in for a waxing appointment and then someone else came halfway through and was started taking over, I'm not going to be as, or if somebody's highlighting one half and somebody's highlighting the other half, it's going to be different. Or when somebody does one hand and somebody does the other hand to save time and think, well, I can get you out in half the time with 2 artists. You know what I mean? I think they want that experience with you. If they're paying for you, they want you. They don't want somebody else, or they don't want to be shifted around to all these different people. But I think, the mental, and especially now with the lockdowns and people not being able to get out, and there's certain areas, I know there's certain areas in the US that are open, that are allowed to be open, and there's parts that aren't. So depending, as I say, but if you're closed, this is a great idea for people to start having some multiple streams of income. Yes. Where if it means educating online, if it means getting a mentor, if it means watching educational videos, if it means joining your group, right, online, or listening to your podcast, which we're going to talk about now. So with your podcast, how did you get started doing that podcast?
Well, the idea of trying to give out the little tips and the little piece of advice for when you're very first starting, even when the idea comes into your head and you go, maybe I'll go to cosmetology school. Like our first few podcasts are about, like, is this really for you?
Yeah.
Because it is hard, and building a business is hard. So please don't, we actually say, please don't come into our industry if you don't plan on staying. Mm-hmm. If you're like, I'm just going to do this for a little bit while I get a real job, you're not going to come into it with the heart and to actually build a business and build a community. And we are a community where there should be less competition. Good competition is always a thing, but this really kind of nasty competition that is developed, we really want to see that gone. So we've really started with a lot of our podcasts putting out, like, we need you to come into it with an open heart. Know that you're going to go to school, and school's going to teach you some stuff. It's going to teach you how to pass boards, and then it's your license to learn. Now you go out, and this is where you start. And please don't ever stop learning. But we really give you all those little tips. We go over retail. We go over the importance of aftercare, the importance of finding a coach, of finding a mentor, that you are not in this alone, and you really should never, even if you were the best person in beauty school, you're still starting at the very bottom when you get out.
Well, and we also kind of explain, like, this is a career, it's not a job. So you need to treat it as a career. And so when we get them, when we start talking to them and things, like, we're explaining to them what this is, like, how this is a career and not a job. So there's like the difference between the two, because no matter what, when you, even if you're starting like at a regular career, you start at the bottom and you have to work your way up. Like, nobody goes in as the CEO. So, like, no one's like, oh, I just got out of college and now I'm the CEO. Like, no one does that. So we're trying to get them to understand also that everything grows exponentially. And so you have to get better in order to grow. And if you don't take classes and learn new things, you're not going to get any better, and you won't grow anywhere. And then you won't make 6 figures a year. You'll make, 5 or 4. Like, you've got to
Or
be
3.
Right.
Depending on where you go, but would you suggest, I mean, obviously it's probably not for everyone, but do you think it's better to, once you leave school, go and work somewhere else first and then learn some skills? Or do you think you're okay to open up your own once you finish school with the right training?
I actually think that depends on where you go into school. Like with Heidi and I, we were 27. We'd already had some life skills. We had a home. We already had to pay those bills. I do think that allergies. I do think that, if I was just 18 out of high school, moving from my parents' home, I would have, and I did go work for someone, but it was a friend of mine who was actually my stylist, and she was opening up a place. So she offered me a job. So I took it.
Yeah.
But I would actually say go work for someone, because even if they're not a great manager or boss, you learn something. You learn something from people who do the wrong thing just as much as you learn from someone who does the right thing. So I think initially, if you're really not quite sure what to do, I would say go work for someone, because if you are not solid in business, it's probably not the best thing to go try to open it, figure out marketing, figure out budgeting, figure out how to do inventory, and then how to deal with your clients and learn at the same time. So I would say work for someone initially.
Well, and I also believe it depends on where you live. Where we live, I think we have 3, maybe 4 commission salons.
Okay.
So when you get out of school and you have like 15 or 20 in your graduating class, you can't all go to a commission salon. It's just not going to happen for you. So knowing that while you're in school, and then preparing as you go to school, knowing there may not be a job for me at a commission salon, I need to figure this out. Plus, for me as a nail tech, a commission salon was not something I even considered, because I have a specific product I prefer to use, and I want to be able to use what I want to use, not what what the salon owner has.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to all of it. And but I believe that it depends on where you live, what you're wanting to do, what trade you're going into, like all of those different things, I think also come into account.
Exactly. Because you have the great hashtag is license to learn, which I think is good for people to kind of, and you heard it here, but hashtag say, I mean, anything with education, but that sort of thing. But do you think that the course, your signature course that you created, that's something that should or could be implemented into the current schools that are training students right now?
Very much so.
We actually, it's funny that you say that. Our assistant is actually, she has been calling schools around the country, talking to them about our program. And, no one loves a cold call. So we haven't been on the phone with a ton of them. No. But we have then started sending out emails to them, which has been more effective because you can read it on your own time. But we are reaching out to, and we do offer, discounts and stuff if they do put it into their curriculum.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of them are letting us do Zoom calls with their students to at least make them aware that there are these things out there.
Exactly. And they need the upgrade, because like you say, things change from year to year, and there's always upgrades. There's always new techniques. There's new products. There's new, and to say, even if the schools did a Zoom call, as a guest artist sort of thing, and then that way you can kind of present, and people that want to go deeper with you or train with you, they have the option. But at least now they're getting some extra training or leveling up, so to speak, from what the actual curriculum is. Now, like you said, when you go to school, they teach you the basics in order to graduate, and that's it. They don't really teach you any extra unless you get a teacher who will kind of see that you're excelling and kind of take you above and beyond. With my school, it was great because my teacher did that, but not every school does. They stick to whatever the curriculum is, will get you ready for your government exam or to get your certification, and that's kind of it. But if people wanted to kind of know more about the course, where would they kind of find you online? So what are your social media handles and your website?
So the beauty business website is abetterbeautybusiness.com. And we have an Instagram page under the same,
Yep.
A Better Beauty Business. My Instagram account is Flashy Nails 1. And
I run the Better Beauty, a Better Beauty Business Instagram. So that's where I post everything.
Okay.
We also have a business page on Facebook for a Better Beauty Business,
Mhm.
where just so that everything, you know, of course, it's on Instagram, will go on there. And then we do right now have a private Facebook group where we do some trainings. We are getting ready to relaunch that in a really kind of way more fun environment.
us. Yeah.
More us.
More us.
Yes.
We're like, we love our podcast, and then we kind of got in front of camera because we're also learning new things being in front of camera, and we kind of were like,
Yeah.
you know, and you freeze up and you don't do. So we're
Exactly.
learning this too. So we realized what we would really like to do to bring more fun and more love and more connection into the industry through our group. So, but as of right now, you can link into that from our Facebook page, from the business Facebook page. There's a link right over to it.
I think there's a link
perfect.
for all of the social media as well for the Better Beauty Business page.
Yeah. On the website, there's a link to everything.
Yeah.
Everything perfect. And we'll also have it listed below and also in the description. So anybody watching or listening, it will be in the description, all their links to all their stuff. But too, yeah, definitely join the Facebook group, check out all their stuff, listen to a few of their podcasts, because they have 50 or so already. So there's tons of information that you can get, receive, join their group. Make sure you're lively, make sure you're interactive, make sure you want to learn. Don't join a group if you don't want to learn anything.
Exactly.
And ask questions, because how are you going to know if you don't ask questions? I believe there's no stupid questions, but there's just people that don't ask the questions. So that's where it lies, because you never know, the question you're asking might answer it for 100 other people that don't want to ask it.
Exactly.
So just, you know, and that's the thing with podcasts. What do both of us, we ask questions all the time. That's part of doing a podcast. That's part of education. You want to know more about people. You want to relate. And that's a thing too, because what we're doing here is also what we need to do with our clients. Talk to them, find out more about them. Who are they? They're not just a dollar sign in the till who comes every so many weeks. They're gonna tell you probably more than they tell their own friends. You know, they're going to tell you everything, whether they're getting a body work, whether they're getting massage, whether they're getting a facial, whether they're having their nails done, you know, because a lot of times they're going to come every 2 weeks for a fill. They're going to come every, you know what I mean? Or a weekly manicure even. And then they probably see you more than they see anyone else.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get, so when clients see you in public, do they look at you strange because they know you're from somewhere and then they see you?
No, all the clients I've had for a really long time generally. So if I see them in public, it's like we're like super old friends. We're hugging and high-fiving and we're like, hey, what's up? You know, and I'm sorry I look like crap because I'm just at Walmart and
That's right.
Well, and with my clients, it's a little different because I do mostly Brazilian waxing.
Yes.
And I know that some people don't want people to know that they have that done. So I tell my clients, if you see me out and I'm going to let you initiate the conversation.
Okay.
So if they initiate it, you know, and I'll nod or kind of wave, but I won't just walk up and be like, hey, how are you? If they're with someone, if they're by themselves, absolutely. But if they're with someone, I won't unless they're like, hey, this is Jess. She does my waxes.
Yeah.
But I've had people who go, well, how do you know that person? And they're like, I don't want to say anything. So I let my clients initiate.
Yeah. Even if they're having waxing, they wouldn't really know what type of services they're getting. Oh, because you specialize?
Because I specialize.
Okay.
That's what I'm known for. So a lot of times people are like, I don't need my mother-in-law to know that I went and got a wax, you know?
Okay.
So I let them, but then I have other clients who are like yelling through Home Depot. They're like, hey, there's Jess. She does my Brazilian. And I'm like,
and they don't care. Well, it shows they're into good grooming and you know, say personal,
what I think.
personal service and stuff like that, which is great. So, wow, we've already been chatting a while, but I'd love to do this again. But we wanted to kind of get you on so people coming on salontraining.com would kind of get to know you, what you're teaching, what you're all about. So in closing, what is your nugget of gold that you'd like to leave our audience?
Well, you got out of school and you got out of school with a license generally. And so you need to take that license and learn with it. You just need to learn with it.
And I would think mine would be never be afraid to go back to basics and never stop learning, because you're never going to be at a point where you know everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So be open to everything.
Exactly. Hashtag license to learn.
Yes.
So I'll get everybody to check out salontraining.com and make sure you go there, become a member. So go to abetterbeautybusiness.com, check out their links, check out their site. If you need to reach out to them, go to their website. I'm sure there's somewhere that you can contact or on your social media handles, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, website, that sort of thing at all. So remember to like, share, follow. I want to say thank you, and we'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for having us.